Guerin Emig joins us now on the Little Caesars Hot and Ready Hotline, our Sooners insider on 107.7 The Franchise. Good to have you, Guerin. We talked about this in the first segment, and sorry to really hit you with a haymaker right out of the gate here. Mm-hmm. But we have been talking about just the PR. The Sooners have decided to delay the PR effect of Joe Mixon being back on the team by not making him available to speak, by not making him available to play in the spring game, et cetera, and it's all going to come down to, eventually I'm assuming they're going to do it before the first game because you want to get that PR nightmare out of the way. But I'm wondering if you think there will be any sort of awkward reaction by OU fans when Mixon is on the field and does something either great or terribly wrong that would be different from the reaction if another player had done the same thing.
You mean in the stadium, what the reaction's going to be like?
Yes, in the stadium or on television with OU fans.
If he does something great, OU football fandom mean what it is. People freak out and not think for a second about what happened a year ago. I think they'll think that's the guy they saw. That's man, wouldn't it have been great if he'd been in the lineup a year ago? That kind of thing. There won't be. I don't think anyone. Let's just put it this way. I think the percentage of fans who are going to feel good about Joe Mixon doing good things is probably in the 95 to 98 percentile of OU fans I'm talking about. I think those who have their moral compass on overload are more like the 2 to 5 percenters in this case. They're going to feel a little squeamish about it.
We did not. I did not know the answer to this, but somebody tweeted at us earlier when we were talking about this. Was Mixon given a red shirt?
Was he given a red shirt? Essentially, yeah. That's kind of what that. Yeah.
I mean,
that's basically.
I guess
he was sat out just as Ryan Broyles did. He was basically suspended for his freshman season, and as far as unless that's changed, the way I understand it is he'll be listed as a redshirt freshman next season, just as Broyles once was after he was suspended for the gas caper.
Well, then what do you do with the guy that says if Mixon was given a red shirt, was it really that much of a punishment?
I think that's valid. I think that OU would counter by saying, "What do you mean we didn't give him a punishment? He didn't play, did he? He didn't. He wasn't around practice, was he? He was essentially ostracized from the team." So their claim is going to be he was absolutely punished because he had every intention of playing football last season, and he wasn't. Not only was he not allowed to play on Saturdays, he wasn't allowed to play any other day of the week.
Guerin Emig joins us in the Little Caesars Hot and Ready Hotline on 107.7 The Franchise. I don't know if you saw, and I'm having trouble finding it now, even though we talked about it last week. If you saw the comments made by Bob Stoops at one of the Sooner caravans last week, in which they were giving him hell about who's going to be the quarterback, and he didn't really have an answer and all that stuff.
Right.
And he made a reference. And Todd, if you can find it, I hate to try to implement what I'm trying to say without having the reference right in front of me. But he tried to reference that, hey, there are a lot of players in this program that that feel you have to earn your spot. And it almost felt to me, I don't know if he said that verbatim, but it almost felt to me that it was one of those things. Do you think this could be what is going on here as to why Stoops hasn't named a quarterback yet? That maybe it's because these players, other than the quarterbacks involved, that the other players on the team need to know that a guy like Baker Mayfield has earned the position, and really there's no other reason not to name the starting quarterback already.
No, I think that's just that's a pat answer that Stoops has given to questions about every position in his program for years. That's his reply. And when someone's pressing him specifically about the quarterback race that hasn't been officially decided, that's the way it's answered. Or when people start asking him about freshmen who ought to come in. If I'm talking about 4 or 5-star McCoy, Peterson type freshmen who should come in and play right away. Everyone has to earn his way. I would imagine that if someone were to ask him, hey, Samaje Perine, your starting running back going into the Akron game, he's going to give the same answer. That's just Stoops. Again, that's his MO when it comes to questions about. I think he gets a sense that fans and media think that they know that Mayfield's going to start and want him to say it, and that's his way of not saying it. We haven't, nothing is decided until we feel that a guy has earned his place. Now, whether or not that, where that stands outside his public comments, only he knows. I think we can have a suspicion as to where that stands, but until he's ready to release that depth chart or make that pronouncement, and I think it's going to be, I would think it's going to go even into August, a couple of weeks into August. That's what we're going to hear from him.
Well, I mean, if we all have that perception, I mean, you all don't. I'm speaking to you guys here, Guerin, guys that cover the program, okay, on a daily basis. I mean, if you all already have the feeling that Baker Mayfield is going to be the starting quarterback, and correct me if you don't have that feeling, but if you do, then what is the holdup? I mean, I don't. Why? What are the good reasons as to why you would keep this quiet?
Well, there's the most obvious is that perhaps Mayfield hasn't distanced himself like so many of those who are following the story think that he has. I mean, you can hear everything you want from sources or insiders, or what I mean, guys who even teammates who are willing to go off the record or whatever. But unless you're sitting there watching blow by blow accounts of practice, then how do you know for sure? So it could be as simple as Mayfield hasn't wowed either Stoops or Lincoln Riley enough for them to make the announcement. It could be that he's doing this out of respect to both Trevor Knight and Cody Thomas, quarterbacks who started games and won games for the program. He wants them engaged as long as possible into the off season, and so even if maybe neither of those guys gets a sense that they're really in the race, Bob Stoops wants to do what he can to make them feel like they're in the race. Maybe there's a possibility that he wants to see more out of Mayfield in terms of sort of grabbing the reins of leadership for this team. That's one thing and you never had to ask about Trevor Knight's leadership ability. I mean, that's one thing that Knight always had going for him, regardless of how inaccurate a quarterback he was last year and the mistakes that he made. No one ever questioned his leadership.
Guerin Emig with us here on 107.7 The Franchise. Guerin, I want to move to basketball quickly before we let you go.
Okay.
The non-conference slate released, I think it was Friday, it was released officially for OU. Tough names on the schedule like Incarnate Word, McNeese State, and Central Arkansas. I'm kidding. Wisconsin, Memphis, Villanova on the schedule. And they go to Hawaii twice. Are you getting to make both these trips?
I'm getting to make none of those trips, Todd. But I will continue to press the issue with my superiors at the Tulsa World to try to get to both of those. But,
well, we're closer, I think, geographically. So if they want to send us instead, we'll do it.
Yes, it'll be so much cheaper. I mean, listen, financially, we should probably go ahead and take the trip for you guys.
We'll send you pictures, Guerin.
OU football, yeah, thanks. OU football, OU football could play a scrimmage in Hawaii, and I'd probably go. Basketball, if the Final Four were in Honolulu some year, I think that my superiors would have to wonder if maybe it was worth the money. I hate that it's the what moves the needle syndrome, I'm afraid, fellows. And basketball, even if OU's a preseason top 10 team and has the Big 12 Player of the Year coming back, I just don't know if realistically it moves the needle enough to warrant seeing Villanova on Pearl Harbor Day.
Let's say OU has the same sort of football season they had last year, 8-4 regular season, lose a bowl game. What do you think the level of interest will be? I guess the best way to ask it is this. Do you think the level of interest for basketball is higher if the football team is successful or if the football team's not successful?
I think it's about the same. Realistically, it probably gets a little bit of a bump in terms of early attention. I think OU fans are looking for something that they can hang their hat on, and maybe basketball presents that opportunity in December. But realistically, it's OU basketball, and the attention level is only going to be so high regardless of what the football team's doing. That's not fair. It's not right, but that's the reality of OU basketball.
We had a before we let you go, we had a. I don't know how we got on the topic, Todd. Do you when we did soap opera names? Katie's Big Toe on Twitter. Guerin Emig.
What?
# soap opera names. He's saying that we had a couple of weeks ago. We had a segment. I don't even know how we fell into it.
Athletes
who
names,
sound like they're in a soap opera.
Yeah, like Chandler Parsons sounds like he should be on a soap opera.
Yeah, Langston Galloway.
Right, Langston Galloway.
Lincoln
Riley.
That's right, Lincoln Riley. Lincoln Riley, absolutely. That name has been in As the World Turns.
Cale Gundy could be on a soap opera.
Mm-hmm. And somebody is saying that Guerin Emig is also a name that we would find in a soap opera. Do you believe that to be so? Do you believe you have a soap opera-like name?
A European soap opera with subtitles, perhaps. But no,
the guy will absolutely have an accent.
Have you ever met anyone else named Guerin?
Yeah, I have. Not spelled the way I spell it, or my parents spelled it. I guess I can blame them for the spelling. But no, yeah, I have. There was a guy who played at Stanford when I was just a tyke back in the 1980s named Garen Veris, a defensive end who was pretty good football player. Guerin Allen, remember him from OU?
Oh, yeah.
I called him Guerin just to see if he'd take the bait the first time I interviewed him, but he made it pretty clear that it was Guerin. So, yeah, I met a few, but not. I don't think Guerin is something you're going to come across every day. Soap opera name on the OU. I'll give you two more guys for OU football. Jack Steed. Jack Steed, the punter or potential punter for the Sooners.
Of course, it'd be a punter.
And Neville Gallimore, the freshman defensive tackle.
That's a good one.
Yes, beautiful.
That's a good one. Does anyone ever call you Gary? And can we?
I hear Gary a lot. Yeah, you call me whatever you want. Whatever makes you guys happy, you know that. Gary
Darren, doesn't make me happy.
Gerwin. Bob Stoops calls me Bud. He calls us all Bud. I think we're all Bud except for Barry Trammell and John Hoover on the beat.
Well,
we know Hoover's not his Bud.
Yeah,
for
I was
sure.
gonna say, what's he call those guys? I don't know if he calls them by their first name.
I think what he probably calls them behind closed doors. We'd have to hit this dump button if we said it.
The beat writers are all Bud. They always have been. I mean, me and Shin and I have been covering him for going on a decade now, and I think we're still Bud. Shin's the Bud who plays golf, and I'm the Bud that looks like he ought to be, in the basement of the science building. So. with beakers and flasks and that. Is
that how you see yourself? That's interesting. What was Guerin like as a student, as a high school and college student? Were you like top of the class? What were you?
No, God, no. I was not really into my schoolwork in high school. I got serious about it in college. When I started to enjoy my classes.
Partier? Were you a bit of a partier? Or?
No, not necessarily that. I was
Dungeons and Dragons. Have you ever played it?
No Dungeons and Dragons, no Capture the Flag. I was sort of the jock without it. I was sort of the non-varsity jock. Me and my buddies would play blacktop basketball and go play. We'd have like putt and bowling Olympics. Does that make me? I guess that makes me a little bit of a different kind of geek.
That's interesting. Yes,
Guerin Emig, this is your life.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, you guys are. You guys have got it going on now.
Interesting.
We've hit on something that you really don't want to go back to.
You are a special breed, my friend. There is no doubt about that. A very rare breed.
One word for it. Yeah.
Like Oklahoma football, there's only one. Guerin Emig.
See you later, Guerin.
Yeah, we're going to look back on this in August and go, God, what did we do to fill time in June?
That's right. That's right. The bowler, the blacktop basketballer, Guerin Emig on 107.7 The Franchise. See you later.
All right, see you, boys.
All right, man.